Hey everyone, welcome back. I'm just going to answer another set of questions or another question. I'll read out the question from Manjunath. Can you please suggest when, I'm going to paraphrase here, can you let me know basically when I'm ready to go with the body scan? Um, can I start with the body scan? Should I do Anapana first? How do I know that my body scan process is going well? Um, is it mandatory to start with Anapana? And during the day, if I have time, should I do an Anapana or body scan or both? Um, the analogy I think about for this is to think about a knife sharpener. If you're going to cut tomatoes and you have a blunt knife, you're not going to get very far. You probably want to start by sharpening your knife and then cutting the tomatoes. Um, but to know that, you have to know what it feels like to cut with a sharp knife. Some people go years and decades just cutting with blunt knives. And they don't even know that they're doing it. So if you can make a regular habit of sharpening your knife, and in this case, what I mean by that is doing Anapana when you start, um, then that may be helpful and beneficial for your practice. But is it mandatory? No, I don't think so. If you know that your knife is just sharpened and you're going to do great with the tomato, don't sharpen your knife. Similarly, if you're about to sit down and you just have the sense that your mind is sharp, still, calm, whatever, ready to meditate, then you can jump right in and start with the body scan. When you're doing the body scan, you might find that there are times when your attention feels dull, you're not able to notice certain areas. Maybe your mind is getting pulled away by different emotions or thoughts. When that happens, that's a great time to fall back to Anapana and use that as a way to, again, sharpen your knife before you continue doing the body scan. So that's kind of how I tell, um, especially when I have a lot going on. And these days, I feel like I have a lot going on in life. I tend to notice, when I catch that my attention has deviated from where I want it to be, I tend to come back to Anapana for a while and kind of stabilize there and then continue with the body scan. As to your question about whether, if during the day you have a couple of moments you're waiting around, what do you do with your practice then? I'd say it in a couple of different ways. One, the question was, should you do a body scan or Anapana? I rarely actually do a body scan. I find that most times, because I've been scanning on the cushion for a long time, most times when I have a moment, or if I'm feeling strong emotions, naturally I start to observe those sensations. Not intending to, but it's almost like it becomes a part of your peripheral vision. So what I tend to do in that situation is just treat it like I'm watching a sky of fireworks. So when you watch fireworks in the sky, you're not necessarily watching one particular firework. You're just looking at the sky and seeing all the different things that are emerging. And that's how I tend to observe my sensations when I'm out and about during the day and have a moment. Sometimes, and I'll say that that's most true either when it's not something that I'm consciously doing, or if I'm consciously doing it, sometimes that happens when I'm feeling a strong emotion because I really want to feel into what's happening in my body right now. Um, when I when it's more of a conscious thing of like I'm driving and I say, I'm not going to listen to music, I'm just going to practice, or I'm waiting in line somewhere, I tend to then just come back to the breath, um, versus going into the body. But again, if you practice a fair amount, the body awareness becomes like a peripheral vision that you can't really, um, you don't need to shut off, nor do you need to look at it directly. It kind of becomes peripheral. Uh, the final thing, I think I've said this in other videos, but I'll just mention it again. When I describe the viewing fireworks approach, where you're just open to whatever sensations are in your body, I just want to caution that that shouldn't be an approach that you use on the cushion. And the reason for that is that when you do that, naturally what you're aware of are the loudest or largest or most visible fireworks, or um, the strongest sensations in your body. And so when you do that, it's like you are kind of tuning yourself, or uh, calibrating your sensitivity to the loudest or most intense sensations in your body. Whereas when we're practicing on the cushion, our goal is almost the opposite. We want to try to calibrate to the most sensitive, or the finest or the subtlest sensations that we can be aware of in that moment. And I say in that moment because that changes. And so, depending on what else is happening in your life and how sharp your awareness is at that moment. Um, so, when you're on the cushion, do a systematic body scan. Don't go from sensation to sensation, go from body part to body part, regardless of what sensation you're noticing there, if at all. Uh, when For me, when I'm out and about, I tend to have those sensations just as a peripheral vision and some awareness of the different things happening in my body. And that's often how um, if I kind of recognize I'm doing that and there's nothing else to be done, I just continue doing that, continue sort of maintaining that awareness. So, hope that was helpful. Um, if you have questions, please add them to the video. I try to answer as many questions as I can. As always, the caveat that I'm not certified to teach Vipassana. I'm not an assistant teacher or teacher. I'm just a fellow practitioner. I've benefited a lot from people sharing their honest experience with me, and it gives me joy to know that I can help others in that way. So let me know if that's helpful or not, and if you have any questions. Thanks.